A good afternoon and a warm welcome to all our viewers this afternoon. And this afternoon we are starting out at Mantis Founders Lodge in the Eastern Cape, where we're starting out with a game of hide and seek with a rather well-known animal, quite iconic to Africa. And I wonder if anybody can guess what that animal is. If you thought giraffe, indeed you are correct. I just saw the head moving down there on the far side, so I'm assuming this giraffe is feeding off the leaves of this thorn tree. Now, my name is Jaapie Potgieter, and I'm going to be your host this afternoon. And indeed, starting with giraffe peering through the tops of the trees is always a good way to start. And it looks rather green and lush here. I can see the plants look like they've had a little bit of rain. Ooh, there is a little bird that's just landed in the foreground, possibly a wagtail. Oh, I did not expect that. This is a brilliant start. All of the animals standing very, very still. Now I can see from the movement in the shrubs and bushes in the background, it looks like it is a rather windy afternoon, of course, but still warm. You can see a very, very clear sky. So if you look down into the valley, the beautiful view from up here on this watering hole, then definitely I'd say these animals are probably standing, enjoying the breeze coming through. That's why, oh, something spooked them. Not sure what, but they got a big spook there. Except the rhino, not 100% sure what's happening. You can see all the animals are stopping, looking in a direction from where the supposed threat is coming from. The rhinoceros, of course, being very large and bulky. It's got an air of nervousness now, but not too bothered. Maybe didn't pick up anything scent-wise, so probably something was seen by the other animals. But you do find that some of these larger mammals, they often stand up out in open spots when it is very hot to get a bit of a breeze going over them. Although now the rhino don't seem too bothered. But let's have a look. Giraffe is going in to investigate. You can see it's carefully checking out the area. But, like always, they've got very keen eyesight. They are quite large, and animals are quite aware of their size. So, this afternoon, our first comment from the afternoon is from Harriet Hodgson. And you're saying hi to myself and all the Wild Earth chatters, and you're saying happy Catterday Saturday from lovely, windy Cape Town. It's also windy up here in the Lowveld where I am, Harriet, and indeed what a good start. For a moment there I almost thought that we might see a cat here on Catterday. Have a look, quite a nice large rhino, not very bothered by the movement of the other animals. You can see the ears swiveling, and then of course it's got its very large nostrils. Very elongated face, that head is constantly down. Now, the sense of smell in white rhino is a massively important sense to them, and of course when he moves like that, and he might look like he's not doing too much, he is also picking up on the trails. He's also picking up on any scents from other animals it might have been, or maybe he was just sensing some good grass in that spot. But this is a brilliant start, and I think let's see what else is happening out there this afternoon. Let's head over to Elephant Pan in Botswana and see what's happening in Botswana, from the Eastern Cape to Botswana. Oh, where we have a very busy Elephant Pan. Who could have guessed where this pan got his name from? You can see they've come, it's a herd, they've come to drink, but they've come towards the man-made section that provides water. An inlet, of course, there's a lot of rainwater that's gathered here. You can see a couple of little ones there, very, very tiny little elephants in and amongst those big elephants off to the left in the shade. And obviously the herd is very protective. You can see that stance of the females kind of putting their back ends together, all facing outwards, with the little ones in the middle. And that is the protective stance of a herd of elephants that have small interest, well, small size, large interest to take care of and to guard. You'll find sometimes they might even rest like that in the shade of a tree in the middle of the day. And also with the little ones playing around in the middle and laying down. Looks like they came for just a brief drink, probably heading back to the shade. It must be very, very hot here today. And then of course there's also the odd chance that some of these guys near the water might be young bulls, in which case they wouldn't hang around too long with them. You can see there's a little bit of a standing around, checking it out. It's always when the elephants move off, you find that some of either the females that don't currently have small calves, especially younger ones, and then of course the young bulls, they might hang around at the back a little bit just to check the others out, the movements, very curious and observant of others. We got a question from Greg asking, when lions hunt elephants, do they target them when they are at waterholes because they are more calm, less alert when they are swimming and drinking? Greg, that's a very good question, and in short I'd say depending on the situation, that could very likely be a scenario that lions would use and make a decision based on the animal's vulnerability at that point. But it really is down to each individual situation, and what you find is that the predators are very, very adept at knowing when an animal or any other creature is in a space that's not 100% safe or where they are vulnerable.
It's been a great morning out and about and exploring.
It's amazing. It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think, because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our FedAir lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet, we take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
My full name is Mpho Tikani. I grew up in Soweto. My first animal that I filmed is a dog. Okay, no, wait. My first animal that I filmed, I think it was an impala. Best sighting ever, I would say it was actually this year, 2024. But it was this Cedric when we had Mulwati and TP on a warthog kill. I think we have to cut it.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Look, the trunks are up. One. I'm checking it out. There we go. A little bit of a pick up and pace. Let's see. Are they heading back to the pool? Look at that little one trying to catch up. Maybe his feet's burning. And yes, baby elephant's feet do burn. What is happening there? That's quite interesting. It looked like that female tusked the ground there. Maybe trying to loosen some soil. And have a look now, they're all coming back. So this is quite interesting, and I think what we actually saw as we came over the side is younger bull elephants that's just moved in, and I literally think this herd just took the babies, because there's two tiny babies there. You can see, look at that one with his face right on the edge of the water there, on that little built well wall. There, he's putting his face all the way down into the water. So that little elephant is very young, and judging from the size, not the one coming in now, you can see he's putting his trunk in. Whoop. Probably got a bit of a fright. The other little one, very similar, those two in age. Putting their face down like that in the water means that they very likely can't, or is not that adept at using their trunks to drink yet. So they must be very, very young. Say probably less than 6 months old. Maybe they just wanted to avoid some of those bull elephants. Oops, looks like we might have lost our feed there. But we're back at mantis. at Founders and have a look. Those zebras are still standing, enjoying the breeze up here, looking over the hills of the Eastern Cape. So this is quite interesting, and you can see if you look near the water's edge in front, there's lots of little things flying around, and then those zebras are standing facing different directions, covering all their bases. But also often what you'll find is with animals, when they stand out in the breeze like this, they'll often face the direction the breeze is coming from with their backside. And this is quite a very, very basically logical explanation for that, but basically these animals have an excellent sense of smell, so the wind traveling with some force from behind them means that they would be able to pick up on anything coming from behind, and of course it enables them to use their rather excellent eyesight to also be able to pick up on things that's coming from the other side. But if you have 4, 2 facing one way, 2 the other way, standing diagonally across the wind direction, what a great way. Cover all the bases from danger, potential danger. So it gives them time to relax, and then of course within the wind there's also slightly less biting insects. We got a question from Joy asking, do elephants fluctuate a lot? Joy, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by your question, but I am assuming you are referring to the numbers of elephants and possibly to the groups and the association with certain groups, so group sizes and so forth. So I think what I'll do is let's discuss 2 topics. Oh, there's the rhino. That's very awesome. Still around. Maybe a different one. Not sure if it's the same one. It's just come past to come and investigate. You can see the tail's up, curling. So it looks like that rhino is definitely following a scent trail there. It's got a mission. It's quite fun to just see it disappear. The zebras are not even paying attention to it at all. I think these animals are also familiar with each other. Rhinos being territorial, well, the males at least. But regardless, in some areas females have home ranges as well, like zebras, so they tend to be within an area and they tend to certainly get to know their neighbors, so to speak. But to get, well, I think while these zebras are standing out on the side enjoying the breeze, let's head over to Tembe, where we might have some elephants. Oh, not elephants, but something equally impressive. Giraffe. Can't say I've seen too many giraffe around the watering holes of Tembe. That is spectacular. What a sight. Seen giraffe drink at Tembe. I think that might be my first. Have a look at them carefully checking around. Like, even though this clearing provides an open space in a moment's breather to scan around, there are indeed lions at Tembe. But Tembe known as Tembe Elephant Park. What a good spot. I think I'm going to get back to Joy's question. Do elephants fluctuate a lot? Joy, in terms of their numbers, so I'll discuss two topics from this. In terms of their numbers do go up and down. Of course, elephant numbers do go up and down. But the general regard over the last few years have been that their numbers have steadily increased in areas where they are well protected. Of course, their numbers do increase quite well. In some areas, their growth rate is as much as more than 5% annually of the population, which is quite a high rate, very, very high. So they are doing quite well. And then of course other areas, they still unfortunately do get prosecuted. They do roam over large spaces that's inhabited by people, and the harsh conditions often associated with those areas tend to provide the grounds for conflict that arises from overlapping territories or areas. You got two very affectionate young male giraffes. Oh, what might look like very affectionate young male giraffes. I think the one at the back there is just trying to get some sparring time in. But indeed, these giraffes do look quite young.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
Join the Wild Earth Explorers program and connect with a community passionate about wildlife. Support our mission to share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Your monthly contribution helps provide schools and children access to kids' safaris, fostering a love for nature in the next generation. Embrace the wonders of the bush and make a difference today. Wild Earth, connecting with nature.
They have their relations. They might meet up with other far off related animals that might have split off years ago due to the size of the herd, and they might move in different areas that overlap greatly, and in that case you might find these gatherings where herds might be rather large, but generally herds are smaller related units, family units, and they tend to be rather stable. Of course, with an increase every year as the little ones join. Have a look at that. That is a very large giraffe bull that's been drinking there. can see from his dark face, dark body. But these other young giraffe look like they are seriously getting pestered by flies here. So they're just utilizing those very, very thick skin of the older giraffe to scratch itself. Now that the giraffe's up, it probably moved away. Doesn't want to entice any further sparring. Potentially, that looks like quite a seasoned old giraffe. You can see he's got a very strong neck, dark back and shoulders area. Looks like he's almost struggling there to get down to drink. I think maybe his feet slipped into the mud. Even his face, you can see he's shown the wear and tear. This guy has had some scars made in the past from battles. You can see the ridges on his face. His bony ridges had developed over years of battling each other. We got another question from Picasso asking, how do you see if an ellie is obese? Sure. Picasso, that is quite a good question. I don't know, to be honest. I guess they could become obese. I think it's very unlikely for them to be obese out in the wild, considering that it's such a large animal and it just for its daily nutritional requirements to function, it needs a very large amount of food, which kind of takes up quite a lot of time for the elephant to acquire during the day. But then of course elephants do tend to get a chance every now and again to eat food like it might not necessarily always be the healthiest, so they do tend to indulge a little bit. Like with maize, for instance. But I don't know if I'll be able to tell you if an elephant is obese. I'm sure there'll be signs, but what they are, I don't know. That's a good question. I do know one can very easily tell if they are emaciated and if they are struggling, like especially older elephants. But Mindy, you saying, wow, you've never seen this many giraffes at Tembe? It was good to see indeed, lots of impala around. But I think let's head from northern KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa to East Africa, and we go check out what's happening at Oldonyo this afternoon. Where we have more giraffe. In fact, we got quite a few, and an eland that made a brief cameo there, and some guinea fowl. And by the looks of it, looks like we might have some pregnant giraffes here. I can see some males, younger males in this group. That one drinking on the left now, it looked to me like she might be pregnant. Also something difficult to tell for sure always. Kind of related to Picasso's question, like how do you see if an elephant is obese? It can be also quite tricky to notice if an elephant is pregnant or not. And rhino. You've got to look very careful for very subtle signs, like of course if the animal is in its advanced stages, then it can be obvious. But yeah, oof, look at that nice big male giraffe on the right here, and this female that's arguably pregnant. And from what I understand, this side of the world around Oldonyo should be having some rain coming. In which case I wonder how far along this giraffe is. Generally, giraffe births kind of coincide with the peaks of the rain seasons, which in East Africa can be almost 3, spread throughout different times of the year. But that is quite amazing to see. It is always such a interesting behavior to watch, even though it's only drinking, just taking a sip of water. Have a look at that long droplet hanging on to the lip as it brings it up, and then not wasting anything, licking all moisture from the lips. Wildlife lady, you're saying another giraffe party. Indeed it is. This is a giraffe party of note. Have a look at that. There was possibly 4 giraffe drinking at one point. There's still more coming from the back, and there's more standing under the tree in the back, so who knows. What a spectacular scene here at Oldonyo. I'm wondering also, another reason that makes me think that this giraffe is pregnant is the fact that she is drinking a little more than the others. That might also be that they've been waiting for elephants for quite a while, so they're just taking their chance now. But there's a lot of giraffe around here. In the back there's even more. So there's 6 around the water here. You can see another 2 at least standing under the tree in the back, and there's possibly more. And as they do, stand around and have a look around. Now, I've read not too long ago that apparently they can spot movement and things quite clearly from about 2 kilometers out. They do have a proportionally very large eye. So, and we know that for giraffe, vision plays a very, very important role in their existence. And from the height that they are up, they can spot way over a lot of these trees, these shrubs, covering the mid-level for the shorter of us. But while they intently stare, maybe let's see. Let's head back to Founders, where I hear the rhinos are back. Aha. And this time we've got 3. From tall animals with excellent eyesight to bulky animals with low facing heads with not such good eyesight. Now, that is one thing. Some rhinoceros are often regarded as animals that don't have excellent eyesight. And if you do have the chance, if they do have the chance, and they might show us, or show their faces from behind that wall of mud there, we might be able to see. Proportionally, their eyes are rather small. And also, like an evolutionary trait of a creature that doesn't rely on eyesight so much, compared to its very large swiveling ears and large broad muzzle. Compared to, say, for instance, a bush baby, where eyesight plays a very important role. And have a look at those ears, just swiveling around. That's their radars. That's the way they pick up long turret-shaped extensions, the outer structure of the ear. I'm curious to know what the makeup is here. I'm fairly sure that the one on the left might be one large male, and the other two not too sure. Maybe one male, one female, or 2 young males or 2 young females. There might likely be a female amongst those 2, as that male is probably nearby and interested.
We have just had our efforts paid off.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
My full name is Emojis. Best part of my job is coming to see nature. Worst part of my job is logging. That's the worst thing ever, because you have to log amount of footage. You sit in front of that computer and yeah, you think of deleting the footage, but no, they need the footage. If I want a camel, probably a soccer player. I know some people don't believe me, but I'm very good, I'm very fast.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure. Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Wild Earth Travel's newsletter is your passport to a magical journey. Explore exclusive travel options featuring special offers at stunning Wild Earth locations, and all hosted by your favorite presenters. Don't miss out. Head over to our website and subscribe to the Wild Earth Travel newsletter today and stay in the know on all our unforgettable adventures. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
also knowing where this bull is, does provide them with quite a good sense of what's happening around them. But you can see, like now, this big male rhino is becoming a little bit of an irritation, and he can sometimes overstep his welcome, in which case that's what happens. They tend to move off more quickly. But you can see nose back on the ground. He might even curl his tail in a little while. Oop, they're still there. But a situation like this can last for a number of days, and he's going to be quite relentless. No matter how much they move and keep going. Even if it takes him a little slower. I thought I saw, when the one ran away just now, I thought I saw some urine coming out, or like just a small few drops. I'm not sure if that's what this guy might be looking for. Maybe he's just checking for any chemical signs that they might have left behind. And you can see he is checking the area out very well. Okay, well, he's also going for a quick rub on the shoulder. I'm sure he's got an itch there. In the shade, what a good tree to rub up against. Nice rough bark. These are curious. You can see they're not moving off completely. They are very curious. Oh, look at that. These moments, these interactions are often associated with a little bit of aggression, or I would rather say heightened emotions and excitement. Like any good interaction, you need to go through the teething stage. But this is exceptional behavior insights we're gaining here. Quite nice to see. These interactions aren't always seen out in the open like this, and this often happens. Sometimes the animals have been moving together as they might. That bull will follow these, but we can see there, out of unsurety, sometimes the younger rhinos might go at the bull and try and force him to keep his distance, even if they initiate it, overacting at their own curiosity. But it's interesting to note that that big rhino is kind of holding back. You can see his intention is not to fight, or to literally kind of just block the advance. If he wanted to, he could have very easily go at that rhino. So very, very interesting behavior we're witnessing here. You can see that male just patiently waiting. He knows now that he needs to be a little bit more cautious. You can see the other ones coming in for some interaction. So I've got a question from Mandy asking that, is it true that rhino don't see color? Mandy, from what I understand, it is true. They do see into a different color spectrum than we do, but their vision is not very good, especially their binocular vision. Their vision is more peripheral. As you can see, their eyes are clearly situated on the sides of the head. Also quite localized, and they basically just to ensure that they don't walk into a tree every time they feed. But they've got their sense of smell and their hearing to cover them over long distances, and then of course also their massive bulk and strength. Well, by the looks of it, maybe they were just telling him to move away. They're not interested. I think, Catherine, maybe that answers your question. Are they playing or practicing? I think it was neither of the two, actually. I think it was more of a situation where they were setting boundaries. But I guess it wasn't serious, so that advance from the one rhinoceros here was sufficient to avoid any further conflict. But yeah, I wouldn't say they were playing or practicing. I think they were literally just trying to make sure that that male rhino doesn't become too bothersome. And it looks like he's taken the cue for now. And then something I haven't actually noticed, it's a small little antelope standing behind the rhino on the left. Not sure what that is. Oh, looks like it's disappeared. I almost wanted to say it looked like a small wildebeest. And then, Catherine, I did not see any blood on the horn. It could have been, maybe. I know even for large, gentle giants like these, even if they push each other a little bit, those horns can create quite a bit of damage, and they can certainly hurt each other. So often what you do find is, if these interactions have been happening for a couple of days, then sometimes they do tend to nick or cut each other around the softer skin near the base of the horn, between the eyes and the base of the horn. So it could have also been something else. So I don't have a good enough view to say for sure. But Maria M, you're saying they look like bodybuilders when walking. That's a rather interesting comment, Maria. I don't really know what bodybuilders look like when they're walking. They certainly do have very large, strong bodies. And they do sometimes look a little bit awkward when they move. The rhinoceros, that is. But funnily enough, still very agile. Like up and down. You can see, oof, and look at that. using its mate to scratch the hard to reach parts. And for anybody that's played around in the mud or near water, sometimes moisture, if it touches the skin in certain parts, it gives us a little bit of an itch. And the same happens with these animals. Ah, here we go, and he's back. And this time he's approaching from a different angle. Look at this clever rhino sneaking up. A good time to also cool down. So I was wondering where he was going. I knew he wouldn't give up that easily. So now let's just hurry up and wait. In the waiting game, he can play the waiting game for a long time. And when it's a situation like this, often you'll find that the bull might follow the females for a number of days, a while, until such time that they settle out even more, or settle down more and more. So in the meantime, he's taking the chance to cool down and mud himself up. This has been some exceptional rhino viewing here at Founders this afternoon. Very, very fortunate to be seeing this. Look at this. This guy's going to attempt to cover himself completely. Literally only a strip on the back that's not covered. Interesting in a situation like this where you got a need to cover themselves and cool themselves down, protect themselves from the heat, but they also utilize these situations knowing that they would very likely have these interactions. It's funny to watch them go about their business while still maintaining the interaction. Let's see what's happening here. Yes, Penelope Kenyon, you're saying this is an amazing sighting. I agree. This is spectacular. This is very, very interesting. You can see the reluctant curiosity of those other two rhinos with this big bull as well. Who knows? The fact that they're still two together, similar in size, similar in age, very likely they're getting to that age where they might be getting ready to actually be receptive to mating for the first time, which is also an interesting time. And obviously in that regard this big rhino bull might have a little bit more experience in these kind of interactions. And have a look. They're just sniffing each other out, bonding a little bit. Oh, look at that. Maria M.U.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member today and unlock extras and bonuses, like ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in your safari without any interruption. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Join now to avoid missing out on these amazing benefits. Help us connect people to nature.
Step away from your daily stress and escape into nature with Wild Earth. Immerse yourself in the wilderness and become part of the natural landscape. Watch as everything comes alive. Join us as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with the wild.
Them sitting on these rhinos, but of course there's a breeze going, the animals are in the water currently, so the birds would be a little bit reluctant at the current behavior. Once the animals start moving around away from the water, they might join back up on them. I do know that sometimes the oxpeckers might wait on a tree nearby or even on the bank of the watering hole for the animals to get done with their routine. So yeah, it is quite an interesting situation. But yes, indeed, oxpeckers do sit on top of them, and rhinos do get ticks. In fact, they get ticks that specifically specialize in sitting on rhinos. Very large ticks. And they have a huge tick load in certain areas. And the ticks line all those folds around the back end, below the belly, around the eyes and the ears. Hence they are covered with oxpeckers sometimes, and also in part that's why they wallow in. To also maintain those external parasite load. And we've got from Starbuck, we've got how often do rhinos need to drink? Starbuck, good question. It depends on conditions, of course, and the availability of water. But generally speaking, white rhino, as these ones are, they will drink at least once a day, sometimes twice. They don't necessarily have to. Interesting thing about these guys are we did see them wallowing here now, but I haven't actually seen them drinking. And they do have a high water or moisture requirement, but that doesn't always necessarily include drinking. They are quite capable of going without water for a couple of days, and they are well known to do so. But generally speaking, if it's available, they have these slots that they come in. Different groups of rhinos will come at different times. Sometimes you'll find that a group, like say these two, might actually come at a specific time of the day on a regular basis. Well, it's usually once and often later in the afternoon or early morning before the sunrise or around sunrise. And then depending on the area and the day, I've also noticed sometimes they come much later in the morning if it's on overcast days. But yeah, generally speaking, once a day, sometimes more. But this has been absolutely spectacular. Just have a look how these guys are scratching those hard to reach areas for parasites, probably to get it off, also to spread the mud over and also strengthen their bond a little bit. But from the large, quite affectionate pachyderms, let's head over back to Old Donyo, where we've got some other pachyderms. And here we got another little interesting interaction from rhinos to the elephant. It looks like two rather large bull elephants. I'm very interested to see what's happening here. It looks like there's a little bit of a interaction going on. Now, my guess here, look at that one, just feeling the top edge of the ear, probably trying to get rid of whatever loose debris might be in there. But my feeling is that these two have had some interaction, and this guy has probably stepped away from the water with a little bit of reluctance. So let's see what happens. Look at that elephant on the left. It's just casually moving over, but it does look like he's looking for the water inlet there. Very subtle very subtle cues given here to how they're sizing each other up. I think they look like they are slightly unsure of how the other one might react. But we got a question from Ivan asking if I've observed any interspecies communication, or do animals speak in their own species bubble? That is a good question, Ivan. I think there's a lot of speculation around a lot of these situations. With interspecies communication, I mean, as humans we are pretty used to it in the way we communicate. With our pets, with lots of other animals, even some wild animals. I think we when you talk about interspecies communication, I think it's important to define the term communication. Yeah, because communication is what we're seeing here right now. And this for sure is within the species, or the species bubble. Even though it's subtle, you could see there's a lot of posturing, slow approaches. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So I think that confirms for me what I was thinking at the start. When we just got to this little pan, you could see these two elephants were standing a little bit. And it looked like that one there to the right that's approached obviously is a little bit curious, but was probably not as well received around the water's edge by this guy. And I do see some quite largely swollen temples there on this guy, so very likely this guy might be in must. Maybe that's why the other one is interested. He's got the confidence.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member and unlock exclusive bonuses and benefits. Enjoy uninterrupted, ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in nature. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Enjoy exclusive access to special broadcasts and videos, and help us to connect people to nature.
My name is Takudzwa Panda Msesani. My scariest moment is when it happened twice. The other time I was with Cedric and the other time I was with Steve. And all those times it was a black mamba. My favorite meal in camp is gonna be burger and chips.
We are thrilled to announce our new exclusive feature for YouTube members and explorers. Join us live every Tuesday for our sunrise and sunset safaris. Experience Tawny Tuesday like never before with up-close encounters and breathtaking moments. Don't miss out. Become a YouTube member or explorer today and immerse yourself in the heart of the bush. See you Tuesday.
And agreements or disagreements with certain developing situations, they are certainly able to at least communicate to some extent to allow for peaceful interactions around watering holes, for instance, or not so peaceful, depending on what the species is. Predators, for instance. And then, of course, there's also stories of interspecies communication. I think what I've witnessed often as an example is between, say, oxpeckers and animals Oxpeckers, generally their noises that they make, yes, they do make a lot of noises amongst themselves, but they also alert animals to potential incoming danger, and in that case the animals are quite attuned to the noises, the sounds that they make. They know what it signifies. When a lion walks around calling at night time, or a hyena for that matter, it attracts other animals, like in the lion's case potentially hyenas, other lions, or discourages them or other animals. So that's definitely a form of interspecies communication, being able to communicate intentions. And like we're saying here, even though the elephant's just standing, the giraffe still knows that the elephant is probably not fully comfortable with him taking his drink. Or maybe the other way around, maybe the giraffe is not fully comfortable with taking a drink while that elephant's around. But then another thing on communication is chemical cues. Of course, animals recognize certain chemical cues, and a lot of species, different species, do know the sense and what they symbolize of certain animals. And by association, they are able to derive and transcribe certain information into something different. But maybe not quite as developed to the point where this giraffe and this elephant might be able to politely discuss each other's rights to this water and come to an agreement where both of them can have a drink without affecting the other one. But on that note of interspecies communication, I do know that there's also a story, if I'm not mistaken, from I can't remember now exactly, from the Natal area in South Africa, or from the wild coast, where a long time ago elephants and whales were witnessed communicating with each other from the coastline to the ocean. But that's not something I think that's more of like a myth, an interesting story though to note. So while these two settle the score on the watering hole here, let's head over to Tau this afternoon for the first time to see what's happening there. Oh, we got two ostriches. 2 male ostriches moving off. That is very, very cool indeed. Oh, and what is that? A black-headed heron. 3 male ostriches. That is incredible. There we go. Look at that one flaring his wings. A little bit of a display going on here. It looks like these two on the right look like they are probably a little bit older with the more well developed feathers. But then again, standing in that tall grass, they might also just be trying to deal with the heat and the insects. This is incredible. Certainly not something seen every day. What an incredible bird. The world's largest bird, and definitely very, very interesting to observe. And I know it's a large bird, everybody knows it, but if you look at it in size comparison to that impala in the back and the wildebeest laying down there, it's still hard to grasp the size of these birds. And often when they do open their wings a little bit like that, that is to cool down. So I saw we had a comment from Joe earlier with the giraffe and the elephant, saying that the giraffe better be careful. Indeed, Joe, that giraffe needs to be careful. So it will be interesting to hear later what might have happened there. But then Mindy Tilipo is saying these birds fascinate you and that they are so big and so fast. Indeed they are, and they are very, very fast. It is crazy. They've been clocked, I think, at more than 70 kilometers an hour. Now that is extremely fast. What a fast bird, very fast runner. You can see those very large, well-developed thighs, strong legs. You kind of just tuck that neck back. But yeah, and this is a good spot for them to come to feed. You like the open spots, that way of course they can stay one step ahead of the danger. But very fast birds, although they do get predated on by the cats, especially cheetah. And they can't, even though they can go very fast, yeah, like I said, I think they've been clocked at more than 70 kilometers an hour. They certainly also do not necessarily need the requirements or meet the requirements to run away from a cheetah in an open space. So, but yeah, very, very interesting bird. You can see, look at those wings going up and down. Those bare patches of the thighs must be hammered by the biting flies and insects there at the time. These birds are also used to be considered to be quite dangerous in some regards. You know, in certain parts of South Africa they still are being kept with livestock. There's an extra deterrent from livestock theft. But what an incredible sight! Not something I don't even know if I have seen. Yes, I have seen one ostrich on live at the watering hole. I can't remember where it was, but it was a brief view. Have a look. With that long neck, they can get all over that body to all the hard to reach places. Also important for them to maintain healthy feathers and always look good. Hard to believe that such a large bird only eats plant material mainly. Obviously do get a little bit of their protein in through picking up some of the insects and other arthropods.
We love all creatures in the African bush, from the biggest to the smallest, including the tiny little insects and arthropods, but some of them are not as charming as we'd like them to be. So that's why I trust peaceful sleep. And it lasts up to 8 hours too, so I can stay out longer, both at day and night, and not feel like I'm somebody's snack.
Join the Wild Earth YouTube superfan community and unlock a world of additional perks. Get exclusive early access or discounts to Wild Earth travel deals. Wear the best bush attire with merchandising discounts. Enjoy an interactive live monthly private safari. Don't miss out on the ultimate fan experience. Join the YouTube superfan community today.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a serious man, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
So we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
Interesting. I know the ostrich does have a rather large eye. They've got excellent eyesight, also being a bird. And I know in some cases, some comparisons put it at a normal chicken's egg. size brain, which is actually rather large. But yeah, they do have a very large eye, relying on their eyesight, but they have a smallish brain comparatively. And then Lucy Khudi is asking, why are ostriches not covered by feathers on their thighs? That's a good question, Lucy. I'm not 100% sure what to answer you on that one. I do know that, of course, a lot of birds have feathers at least on the upper thigh, but the lower legs are usually without feathers. Potentially it could be a thermoregulatory thing. That way it's easier to lose heat. Because they can very much cover it quite easily with those very warm feathers when they do sit down at night time, but when they have to move and when they are getting very hot, it would be difficult to lose the heat if it was covered in feathers. And of course also friction. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure why not. What do we have here? Is this the black-headed heron? Oh. Giving us the cold shoulder. Quite a nice view. You can clearly see that well-defined black head and the dorsal side of the neck. Also preening himself. What a good spot for him to be. Interesting also seeing him right here at the water's edge. No, one of the major, you can see a yellow eye there, so no breeding or courtship colors. But this bird is indeed one of the differences between this and the grey heron, is that you often find this one a little bit further away from water sometimes, in tall grass, open fields. And it's interesting to see how the shift in bird life around this area has happened due to the change in this habitat. Normally, well, first time I laid eyes here on this area around Tau, it was quite barren, quite open. And now, of course, with the rains in the summer, and the good rains in this region, from what I've heard, it's greened up greatly. Interesting to see how the birds take to that. It's become a little grassland around here. You can see the ostriches there in the back. Two of them at least. Looks like they're starting to get to the feeding. And we got another question from Yvonne asking, do all South African land mammals have the ability to swim? Sure. That is a good question, Ivan. I think what we're going to do is we're going to head back to Founders Lodge first, and then I'll continue with an answer to your question there. Aha. Back at Founders with what seems to be Blesbok young in the background, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it wildebeest? Still looks like little wildebeest to me. I think it is wildebeest. And a zebra out on the bank feeding on the green grass around the water's edge. But to get back to Ivan's question, do all South African land mammals have the ability to swim? Ivan, I do not know actually. I don't think so. I know there's some very odd ones that you might think can't swim that do. When I think about it now, we're seeing a zebra. I've seen zebra swim. I have never seen rhino swim, but I have heard of rhinos swimming. I've read about it, especially black rhino. I know in the past there's been some accounts of black rhino swimming across the Zambezi. White rhino I've never heard of. I know hippo can't swim, but hippo is a semi-aquatic animal. They do tend to have some buoyancy, and therefore they kind of like hop around at the bottom of rivers or dams. Yeah, I can't think of any that definitely can't. I know I remember once when I was a young kid, I saw someone's dog jump into the pool, and that dog certainly couldn't swim. No worries, nothing happened to the dog, nothing serious. The dog was immediately gotten out of the pool and all good, and lived for many years happily afterwards. But I do think that I do remember that dog went straight down. It was luckily not a very deep pool. So yeah, potentially there are some. I can't think of any currently specifically. I'm sure when pushed to it, a lot of animals might be able to swim surprisingly. So yeah. What beautiful views here at Founders Lodge of these zebra. And especially this side, it's interesting to watch them. Almost like from a lower down view, and then of course that stark contrast between the black and white of the stripes, the red soil and the blue sky. It's good to see they've come down to drink. There's something I often see, zebra wading into the water to come and have a drink. Move a little bit away further from the water's edge where it might be very muddy. because of all the other animals that's come in. Interesting how these, you can see a zebra standing up at the top there, but how these watering holes have these periods of intense activity. Memories that we can attach to them, and then suddenly they just become very dead quiet. Everything moving off. You can see it looks like there's a steady breeze coming over the water still, and I can see the trees and the shrubs moving in the background. So I guess that hottest part of the day is over. You can see how wallowed out this watering hole is. Look at the edges there from where those rhinos were having their little interaction earlier. But it looks like all our characters have moved for now, so let's go to some real characters back at Oldonyo. There we have some superb starlings, what looks like ring-necked doves, and guinea fowl. Just have a look at the starlings running around everywhere at the back. You can see starlings being quite quick on their feet. Short tails often pick up insects from the ground. And that's exactly what they're doing. Hunting these flying insects, whatever they are. Flying ants or flies. Those two guinea fowl were drinking almost in sync. It's amazing once you zoom in, when the large animals are around the water, you don't always notice like all the life right on the water's edge. Oh, there's even a bit of pride getting displayed there. Large guinea fowl. Not too happy with the other one. But water always a source of life. Just look at all these superb starlings together. That's unbelievable. That's amazing. What a beautiful bird. Very, very flashy colors. You can see some down feathers drifting on the water surface. Oh, and look at that. One of the gentle giants just stepped in that reflection there behind these two starlings in the water. Elephant's feet moving. And you do see often when the elephants come in, they often squirt out some water, or sometimes when the other animals come down for a quick drink, they immediately pick up their head. Wonder if that could have to do with any of the feathers or down feathers that might be on the water. There we go. There were two red-billed oxpeckers from what I saw. Some what looks like emerald spotted wood doves. The oxpeckers, we were talking about oxpeckers earlier around Founder's Lodge. Very, very busy little creatures that look like one adult and one young one. You often find that the whole family group sits on animals. and a very casual elephant. Ellie is saying that you agree about the stunning contrast in the colors. I'm assuming, Ellie, that you were referring to the zebras at Founders. Indeed it is. Now, there we go. Now we got a better view of this dove. It looks like a ring-necked dove from what I can see. Just look at all the life here around the water's edge. That is incredible. Look at that. All those little flying. There we go. That looks like a emerald spotted wood dove. I wonder what that's picking up there. Not going after the insects. Probably some seeds that remained in the dung of some of these animals. Some grass seeds. Might also have been travelling in the fur of some of the creatures. What a beautiful little bird. And when it takes off, it's always that striking ochre color. There we go. It looks like there's a lot of bees around there as well. The slower flying insects around the dove.
Experience the magic of the wild on an unforgettable 4-night safari at Mabula Nature Reserve, hosted by the one and only Stephen Falconbridge. With Steve as your private guide, you'll gain incredible insights into Africa's wildlife, leaving with knowledge and memories to last a lifetime. Get hands-on with conservation, track elusive cheetahs, and even take to the skies on a hot air balloon ride. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
My name is Takudzwa Panda Nsesani. I really want to film an artwork, and it has been my goal. I'll be just keeping my eyes open. The worst driver is James. He's driving, yeah. You gotta be holding on back in there, yeah? Like in bumps, and I mean, it happens when, these things happens when you're actually going for animals usually. But then, yeah, he's driving, yeah, you gotta put your seatbelt.
Just have a look at those big feet. And again, I'm also not sure exactly what bees those were. The ones I'm talking about that's usually used in these conflict mitigation methods are usually honeybees. Of course, there's a wide variety of bees found out here. Having a look at these 4 feet, it looks almost like 2 different animals, or it could be. Look at the toenails, you can clearly see the cracks on some of them. Have a look at their maneuverability, still quite fascinating to watch how maneuverable they are. Debbie is asking, how would sleeping standing up benefit elephants in terms of actual rest? Well, Debbie, from what I understand, elephants actually sleep very little throughout the night, and they have these very large opposing ligaments that can kind of lock into place, so to speak, kind of like giraffe, which enable them to stand up sleeping. But they rest for very short periods of a time, and their total time spent sleeping is usually divided into shorter breaks throughout the day. And in the heat of the day, they can just stand up, or often prop themselves up against something large like a tree or a termite mound. So it definitely benefits them, even if it's short or little rest. So something's happening here. Not too sure what, but the elephant and the giraffe seems to be panicking. Oh, okay, something is. This one looks a little bit unsure. Maybe they are. There we go. Another elephant approaching. And by the looks of it, one that this elephant had respect for. And have a look at that. He's got one floppy ear. So probably not the kind of customer you would like to or rather the kind of customer you would regard with a bit of caution at first. You can see that the elephant's turned his back to him, clearly trying to show him that he's not interested in any unnecessary physical interaction. And maybe he's regarding this elephant as a bit of a brawler. That is sometimes a sign between elephant bulls to back out of any physical interaction. Although still not willing to move away. And I love how the giraffe just moved over and started feeding on the thorn tree nearby. Like, this could take a while, so let's just stand over here and wait.
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our FedAir lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet, we take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild. Wild Earth Travel would like to take you to Namibia and Botswana. Drift over the desert in a hot air balloon, then glide through the lush Okavango Delta in a dugout canoe. This extraordinary journey blends dramatic landscapes with outdoor adventures and unparalleled wildlife encounters. Discover Africa like never before. Book now with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Standing chewing the cud. You see the rotational movements of the lower jaw and then the cud going up and down. There's something that's drawn his attention. Now it might be birds moving in. Giraffes can stand and stare at anything. And we'll just have a look at all the oxpeckers. 2 on either side of the neck, another one on the body. Joy is asking, what's the most fascinating animal behavior you've seen on live at the waterhole? Sure. Joy, I don't know, to be honest. I've seen some interesting stuff. I do think yesterday actually saw an elephant rolling a piece of clay or mud from the termite mound in a circular, weird, like flipping circular motion in the trunk, which I can't say is something that I've seen before. At Tembe, that was actually, yeah, I think that was, well, that's one of the things at least that pop up. From the prompt of your question, so I'd say that was a very, very interesting behavior. But then again, I also find a lot of it interesting. I find the interactions interesting between all aspects. The animals, and then also between the types of water and the animals and the birds. There's a lot happening. It's very, very active around these watering holes, and I think just the general situations that play out over time around these watering holes, different time of the day, different conditions, it's just fascinating to watch. Even if you have seen something before, it's still not the same, there's always something that's different. Also, I do like watching how skeptical giraffes are when they approach the water. You can see that one oxpecker waiting there on its right shoulder. It's probably carefully timing this giraffe to see, is he going down? If he goes down, I'm going to go straight towards the face and get all those ticks there around the eyes, around the ears. You can see there's some oxpeckers even coming down to the ground. Dion is asking, are they skeptical even when there's many of them? Dion, yes they are. They are by nature quite skeptical. I think they also like to watch the others to see how they're doing first. But also the safety in numbers thing, indeed it does provide added security for sure. More eyes, more chance to pick up something. But it also stems out of a very, very self-centered approach to defense. Like obviously each animal within that group still looks out for itself, and that's hence the reason why it would have a look out every now and again. So in that regard, they still tend to look around to make sure. Yeah, this is quite a long break before the head goes down completely. Maybe he's still trying to swallow the last bit of cud he chewed. And this I find quite interesting. You can see the contraction of the muscles around the frontal area of the, from the mouth upwards, and the jaws as this giraffe's drinking. But what an amazing afternoon! What a good afternoon. We've had some excellent sightings, especially with the rhino around founders, and then of course Aldonia, always interesting to watch the giraffe and elephant. But I'd like to say thank you to all our viewers for joining us this afternoon. It's been a fascinating afternoon of animal behavior. I really hope that a lot of you can join us again tomorrow afternoon to see what's happening around the watering holes there. From all of us here at Wild Earth, have a wonderful Saturday afternoon.